Hello friends, welcome to the Agriculture channel. So today we are going to discuss about an important chapter, that is self-incompatibility, and in this case we are going to discuss what is the mechanism and there's some related important points we will discuss. Okay, so first of all, going to this topic we have to know about the pollination. So pollination means, as you know, that pollination means falling of pollen grains from one plant to one flower to another flower. So this pollination, either it may be self pollination or it may be cross pollination. So self pollination means when this is a, suppose this is a flower and this is the, you can say, the stigma, and this is the anther. So when the pollen of same flower will fertilize the ovule of the same flower, it will called as self pollination. But cross pollination means what? This is two plants, so you can say here, so this is the stigma and this is the anther. Okay, and here this is the stigma and this is the anther. So cross pollination means pollen of one plant will fertilize or will fall over the you can say stigma, then it will throw the style, it will fertilize the ovule of another flower. It is called as cross pollination. Again, there may be a chance that suppose there are two flowers over the same plant, but the anther of one plant will, the pollen of one flower of that plant will fertilize the, you can say, the ovule of the flower of that plant also. This is in case of maize, you can see. Okay, so in case of maize, you see here the tassel is present, this is tassel is present, but here silk is present. This is a female one, this is male one. So the pollen will fall over the silk, that is the female one. This is also one type of cross pollination. And this movement of pollen, this carrying, there are some carrying agent. The carrying agent will be either wind or water or any insects maybe, okay, or human beings. Okay, so these are the normal cross pollination which are used by some agent. Okay, but there are some other mechanisms which will which will also cause the one type of cross pollination, we can say. Okay, there are other mechanisms, those mechanisms which will favor the cross pollination. It is one is self incompatibility, another is male sterility. So here today in this class we are going to discuss about the self incompatibility principles, and both these self incompatibility and male sterility, they are majorly used for hybrid seed production program. Okay, so let us come to the topic. First one is self incompatibility, and this is the first lecture related to the self incompatibility. But as you know that it is an important chapter which will come under genetics and plant breeding. Okay, so let us start this. So this self incompatibility was initially reported by Coyle Reuter. It is most importantly asked question in the examinations. Then what is the definition? As you know that self incompatibility means it is incompatible, or there will be a prevention of fusion of fertile male and female gametes after self pollination. That self pollination means when there is a flower. Okay, there is a flower, so you can see this is the, so this is the stigma and you have the anther. Okay, self pollination means falling of the pollen over the, this is the stigma, falling of the pollen of the anther of the same flower over the stigma of the same flower. So this is called a self pollination. If there will be any self pollination, then there will be prevention of fusion, or you can say fertilization, prevention of fertilization of fertile, or you can say functional or fertile male and female gametes. Okay, so what are the different stages? The different stages. So here, what is the, if you before going to this prevention process, first you should know what is the normal process. If there will be any self pollination and self fertilization will be there, then what will be the procedure? The procedure will be like this. So what is the procedure? First of all, whatever the you know, suppose in case of self pollination, this is the anther. Okay, and from this anther pollen will fall, from this anther pollen will fall, yes or no? The pollen will drop here, and the pollen grain has two types of cells. One is generative cell, another is tube cells, and there will be pollen germination will be there over the falling after falling over the stigma. After this, there will be germination. Which germination? Pollen grain germination will be there. Then the process is pollen tube, growth of the pollen tube. First one is germination, then there will be growth of the pollen tube, then the pollen tube will reach the ovules. The pollen tube will reach the ovules, then fertilization process will be there, then what will be formed? Embryo sac will be formed. This is 1 2 3 4 stages are there. Okay, this is the normal cases of the any pollination mechanism, whether it is self pollination or cross pollination. So but in self pollination, the anther will be of the same flower. Okay, so what is the principle behind the self incompatibility? The self incompatibility, it says that either it will prevent the fertilization. So how it will prevent? So the pollen grains will fail to germinate. The pollen grains will fail to germinate over the stigma. So if there will be failure of germination, then there will be no fertilization. Second thing, if there is germination is present, so pollen grain germination will be there, but fail to enter the stigma. Okay, that means the entry of the pollen tube will be restricted. Then again, if there will be pollen tube growth will be present, but still the effective fertilization will not be there before flower drops. That means the slow growth of the pollen tube growth is very slow. Here the pollen tube growth is very slow. Okay, and so that there will be no effective fertilization as the flower will drop. Again, even if there is some fertilization is there, but whatever the embryo sac formed, it will degenerate. Okay, at very early stage. So this is the principles behind self incompatibility. Okay, so next coming to, if you will see the self incompatibility, it is of two types. Okay, first one is complementary or stimulatory type, another is oppositional type or inhibitory type. Okay, so complementary means, what do you mean by complementary? Complementary means it means one will complement another. Complement means it will stimulate the fertilization process. But in this case, oppositional means inhibitory. It will inhibit the fertilization. So here, what is the thing is that, what do you mean by complementary? So in this system, as you know that there are two things. One is pistil, which contains style stigma. One is pistil and another is anther. Okay, so complementary self incompatibility means, it means there will be both. It means both pistil plus, you can say, anther or pollen. Both pistil and anther, they will produce some substance. These substance will interact with each other and stimulate the stimulate the fertilization process. Okay, but the thing is that in case of stimulatory type, if we will say the SI genotype, that is self incompatibility genotype, substance will they both will produce some substance, and this substance will stimulate, or they will be in complementarity with each other. But if we will say the genotypic level, the self incompatibility genotype of pollen grain, self incompatibility of pollen grain is differ from the self incompatibility genotype from that of pistil. So you have to remember this thing. Okay, so in case of complementary or stimulatory genotype, if you see, pollen grain genotype is different from genotype of the pistil. but they will produce some substance which will complement to each other, and they will produce the fertilization. Okay, but if the genotype of pollen grain is equal to or is similar to the pistil, then there will be no fertilization process. This is the thing in case of inhibitory case. Okay, that means in case of inhibitory, the pollen and pistil, they will produce some substance, but which will prevent, here there will be prevention, which will prevent the pollen germination or pollen tube growth. Okay, the just opposite. Here the substance are complementary with each other, and they are stimulating this. But in this case, both of the substances are not complementary with each other. Rather, they will inhibit or they will prevent the pollen growth and pollen tube. But what is the condition? The condition is when the self-incompatibility genotype of pollen grain and self-incompatibility of self-incompatibility genotype of this pistil, both are have similar type of reaction. Both are having same SI self-incompatibility reaction. In this case, there will be prevention of the pollen growth, pollen germination and pollen tube growth. Okay, so I hope you have understood this concept. So basically there is two things. Okay, so either there will be similar type of SI genotype and similar type of we can say the substance will be released from pollen and pistil. So if similar, then there will be prevention. If similar, then there will be prevention. If opposite or different from the reaction or the genotype of the pollen grain from that of the pistil, then there will be complementary. So complementary or stimulatory type is mostly found in Dendrobium, but the inhibitory type of self-incompatibility is present in almost all cases of self-incompatibility. Okay, then again in 1954, Lewis also classified the self-incompatibility into two groups. One is heteromorphic, another is homomorphic. That means what you have, we have self-incompatibility, but heteromorphic means what is the morphology of that flower mainly. So heteromorphic means that means different in morphology, but here not different in morphology. Okay, that means it is majorly based upon the genotype also. Okay, so here also genotypic present will be there. Okay, so heteromorphic means different morphology will be there. Homomorphic means the self-incompatibility doesn't depend upon the morphology. It means similar morphology of the flower will be there, but it will show self-incompatibility. Okay, so now the heteromorphic system, it is mostly found in primula species, and because it is a two types of flowers are there. One is pin type, another is thorn type. Okay, so let us know what is the gamete. In case of homomorphic system, there is gametophytic control, another is sporophytic control. So what do you mean by gametophytic control? So as in this case, as you know, this is the plant and this is the flower. Okay, and this is the anther, and from this pollen will be formed. Okay, so if the self-incompatibility is due to the genotype of the pollen, it is called as gametophytic control. Okay, but if the self-incompatibility depends upon the plants on which it is produced, this is the plant on which it is produced, it is called as the sporophytic control. Okay, that means if the self-incompatibility is due to the genotype of the pollen grain, it is called as gametophytic control. If the self-incompatibility is due to the genotype of the plant which will produce the pollen, it is called as sporophytic control. This is the concept. So now let us coming to the you can say the first we will cover the heteromorphic system in this chapter. Okay, so coming to heteromorphic systems, as we have told that the example is primula. So in this case you can see the primula, and this condition is distyly. Why distyly? The condition is distyly. Distyly means here in case of pin, you can see pin there is two types of flower. This is two types of flowers produced by the, you can see here, primula species. Okay, so what is the two types of flower means? In case of pin type of flower, you can see there is a very long style. So here you have having long style, but very, you can say, very short stamens. But the opposite in case of thumb, it is a very short style but long stamen. But long stamen. This is the thing. And what is the whatever the gene is present, the gene is S, the gene is that is self incompatibility gene. What is the cell? The gene is the controlling this mechanism. It is the S gene, or we can say whatever the it is governed by the locus S. Okay, so if you will see what is the phenotypic, you know here the phenotypic, it is in case of pin it is long style short stamen. In case of thumb it is short style long stamen. This is the phenotype. Okay, if you will see the genotype of the plant, genotype of plant, you can see I have told, if the self incompatibility depends upon the genotype of the plant, then it is called as sporophytic control. So here the pin and thumb type of heteromorphic control, it is nothing but it is a type of sporophytic control, what we are going to study. So okay, if we will see the genotypic of the plant, that is sporophyte, so here the plant gene will be, in case of thumb it will be capital S small s, but in case of pin type it is small s. Okay, so as you know that if what is the pollen, if we will see pollen, or we can say gamete, the gamete genotype will be here. In case of thumb it will be two type, one is capital S, another will be small s. Okay, small s. But in this case of pin type, only one type of gamete will be formed, that is small s. Okay, so if we will see incompatibility reaction of pollen, so incompatibility reaction of pollen will be due to the all s, in case of, you can see, or if there will be similar type of genes, that is all s or all small s, then there will be, because if there will be same type of genotypes or alleles will be there, then in this case there will be incompatibility reaction will be there. Okay, incompatibility reaction in pollen. If we will see incompatibility reaction in style, the incompatibility reaction in style, it is due to the smallest. Okay, so now let us coming to the that is means if we'll see what will be the pollen genotype or gamete genotype, and what will be the reaction of progeny. Okay, so let us do this phenotype. If you will write the phenotype, so here will be the phenotype and here will be the genotype. What is the genotype? And now we will go for crossing or mating. Then what type of progeny we will get? What is the genotype and what is the phenotype? Okay, so first phenotype, suppose we will cross between pin and pin type of flowers or type of plants. Then in this case the pin genotype will be smallest, it will be crossed with the smallest. So whatever the plants we will get, because all are of a similar type, as you can see, so in this case similar type of genes will be there. So in this case there will be incompatible mating. So the genotype, you can see here, it is just incompatible mating will be there because of same type. But if we'll see, if we'll cross pin and thumb, then it will be smallest cross with capital S smallest. So in this case it is compatible, and what we will get, 1:1 smallest. That means this will phenotype. What type of phenotype I will get? One throm type is to one pin type. I will get phenotype. This is throm type. This is pin type. Then coming to, if I will cross between throm and pin type of plants, then this will be capital S small s crossed with smallest, and it will be compatible. Yes, compatible, because two different types of heteromorphology will be there. And in this case also I will get this type of ratio, and I will get one type of 1:1 throm and pin type. But if I will cross throm with thron, that in this case throm with cross with the throm plant, that means the smallest, capital S smallest, but it is incompatible. Because of similar type of genotypes are there. Okay, so if we will see in entrance examinations, in case of JRF with respect to the generation plant breeding, there may be a question that how many, in case of locus S, in case of, we can say locus S, there will be how many genes are there? Majorly 5 genes are there, okay, which are controlling the behavior of the style and stigma, what is the length you have. And out of this 5 gene, there is a gene which is the CYPT. This gene is responsible for the length of the style, and this gene will produce a chemical or an enzyme, you can say, that will degrade, that it will release an enzyme that will degrade, this enzyme will degrade brassinosteroids. This will degrade. So that means if you have locus S, and this locus S has 5 genes, and one of the gene is CYPT, and it will release an enzyme which will degrade the substance, that is brassinosteroid substance will be degrades. And as you know that this brassinosteroid substance is responsible for length of the style. That means the gene which is having CYPT, the genes which is having CYPT. So in this case, what will happen? It will produce an enzyme, so which will you can say degrade, the brassinosteroid substance, and that means there will be formation of shorter style. Yes or no? And as you know, throm means capital S small s. So in this case, but you can see in case of flowers produced in pin type, that is smallest plant, have long style, because it has long style because there will be absence of which one? CYPT. Okay, so this is the thing you have. So this is the principles of self incompatibility under heteromorphic systems. So in the next class we will study about the homomorphic system of self incompatibility. Thank you so much.